Hello students, welcome back to the online class again. This is the first video session class of chapter number 2, that is Central Processing Unit, known as CPU. Now chapter number 2, Central Processing Unit, CPU. Now in this chapter you are going to learn the functions of different units of a computer. What are the functions of different units of a computer? Then Central Processing Unit, CPU. This is also we're going to learn in this chapter. CPU, that is Central Processing Unit, and the various functional units of CPU. There are various, that means different functional units of CPU. Those different functional units also we are going to study, we are going to learn in this chapter. The Central Processing Unit CPU is called the brain of the computer. Now we all know that CPU, that is Central Processing Unit, is known as the brain of the computer. Now let's start our chapter. Now every computer is made of hardware and software. The mechanical parts of a computer are called hardware, and the organized collection of data and instructions in the computer is called software. Now, according to chapters that in this chapter number 2, Central Processing Unit CPU high series according to different functions, the functions of different units of computer functions into curriculum. Central Processing Unit. What is Central Processing Unit? What is CPU? Why it is called the brain of the computer? Why Central Processing Unit? Brain of the computer. We all studied since class 1, 2, 3 like this. Class 1, 2. In class 1, 2 we all study that the CPU is known as the brain of the computer. Now why it is called the brain of the computer, we are going to study in this chapter. Now various functional units of CPU. There are various different functional units of CPU. These are also we are going to learn since we come to the chapters we come to. Every computer is made of hardware and software. Computer hardware and software pullaga saba ngakani. Ado hardware haibasna kaino pina minna uba ngamba pina chopa ngamba parts se computer ki parts se sibu koina hardware haiga khangne. Suppose hard drive kumba adagidi mouse keyboard laiba singse keyboard koina kai haiba hardware haiga khangne. Then the organized collection of data and instructions in the computer is called software. Organized collection of data and instructions they are in the form of program. When a program organized collection of data and instructions, computer software. Now hardware we can touch, we can feel. Software we cannot touch. Software program okay, but hardware we can touch. Now let's see a functional units of computer. Different hardware units of a computer help it perform specific functions. Let us take up the functions of the computer system one by one. Now different hardware units of a computer ki hardware units help it perform function let us take up the functions of the computer system one by one. Computer system, computers ki my functions now the first one, input. Now the process of entering data, instructions and programs into the computer system is called input. Input the process of entering data, instructions and programs. Data, instructions and programs computer enter tawribagi thawongdo adubu computer gi manungda hapchalibagi thawongdo process steps do. Okay, adubu kari haiga khangnei input haiga khangnei. Some common input devices in kari haire keyboard, mouse, microphone, joystick, light pen, etc. The input is processed by the computer in a systematic manner. Systematic manner computer da thajale. Systematic manner hamdi input suppose you write a name, for example RAM. RAM RAM haiba mi maming ama hapen kalazi. The first you have to type the letter R, then second you have to type the letter A, third you have to type the letter M. RAM RAM haiba mi maming ama hapke hargadi R hana irani, second A irani, mathangda M irani. Systematically those letters will go one after another. The first letter you type will go first, the second will come second, and the last, that is the third one, will go to the third. That is RAM. Okay, suppose you write a name Tom, 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 so T will come first. Now T will go first. Now the second letter O will go second, then the third letter M will go third, and the last. Okay, likewise it will go systematically in a systematic manner. Oina mathang manong naina amamam to oina chakane hana number na hana chani, mathang number mathang chani, kona number na kona chakane. Okay, adubo koina seda data instruction and programs koina pil iba command programs data computer da pi basi sigi process have the thong sibu koina input ha ga khangi haiba. Okay, some input devices, example of input devices are keyboard, mouse, microphone, joystick, light pen, etc. Now you can underline this. The process of entering data, instruction and programs into the computer system is called input. You underline this line, and after that common examples like keyboard, mouse, microphone, joystick, light pen, etc. These examples also you can underline. Examples since you underline to solo. Then this definition of the input also you can underline. Now the next functioning unit of a computer is storage. Now since the computer processes the data provides us at a very high speed, it is necessary that we provide the data to it at the same time, at the same speed. For this purpose, the data is stored in the system at a particular allotted space for faster access and processing. Yam thuna amasung yangna thabak tawnabidamakta akoina some space ama piba madarkar oy. Tawriba thabak khudimak sigi adugidamakta akoina storage darkar tai. Aduna the computer process the data provided by us at a very high speed tawriposi storage ama darkar tabina dugi storage to akoina sina storage dagi akoina storage by functional unit say sigi storage na oigadoine. Okay, at the same speed the p nabidamakta. For this purpose the data is stored in the system at a particular allotted space for faster access and processing. Yam thuna amasung yang thabak tawnabidamakta in space allocated to the storage is name. Then the next is the arithmetic and logic processing. Now the instructions that is given along with the data are sent to the storage unit. Right, storage unit instructions data along with the data. Storage unit. The arithmetic and logic processor accesses the data stored in the storage unit. Storage unit arithmetic and logic processor na access tawani hadi use toroga season arani, then performs the required processing in the form of arithmetic calculations and logical operations. Arithmetic calculations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Logical operations haragadi and or nor XOR. These you will study in higher classes. Logical operations. Now you are only studying these arithmetic calculations. Okay. The result is again sent to the storage unit. Or the result to again we will send back to the storage unit again. Okay. The first one is input. The second one is storage. The third one is arithmetic and logical processing. I think you got the idea of these three. Now let's go to the next one, that is output, the result after processing. Now we have already processed the arithmetic and logical processing. The process the result after processing is stored in the storage unit before changing it to the user readable form. it is then displayed on the output devices such as monitor or visual display unit, that is VDU, and can also be obtained on a paper using a printer. Output thadora ani koina process tawraba loira matungda storage unit ta store tawle ibupotu koina changing it to the before user readable form da koina khangna bajong ta thadora koto kai thadora kani output devices da monitor da the screen da monitor, or you can say like visual display unit, you can say video display unit also, or in the form of paper, that is, or in the form of a printed paper in a printer. Okay, you can print whatever information you want, you can print on a piece of paper also using the printer season another paper nang information lotu also, or you can read on the monitor screen, computer monitor screen da nang yeng also, or aduga nang hard copy oina nang computer screen da yeng oduna soft copy, aduga nang hard copy hadi paper lo phoge haragadi printer ching phoga aduna hard copy da yeng also. Okay, the opposite. Then next is the control. Now all the above listed tasks performed by different parts of the computer are well coordinated and controlled inside the computer system. Computer tawriba thabak khudimukti kanana control taweba ki control units teki control tawrakadoine. Okay, all the above listed tasks, whatever listed, that there is an input, processing, output, whatever tasks we have performed, all these by different parts of the computer are well coordinated and controlled inside the computer system. Now the function of arithmetic and logical processing as well as controlling and coordinating is jointly performed by the central processing unit, CPU, or simply the processor of the computer. Now the function of arithmetic and logical processing, arithmetic, I have told you that arithmetic means those mathematical calculations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and square root, integration, differentiation, everything. Okay, and logical processing, logical operators like and or nor etc. that we will study in higher classes. The logical operations as well as controlling and coordinating is only performed by which part of the computer? The central processing unit, that is the CPU, or we simply call it as the processor of the computer. Koina central processing unit, brain of the computer haibse sida loinamak mana brain haise adugi damakta neba loinamak sida mana salairakaduni, or we simply call it as processor of the computer. Koina processor haise sisni koina central processing unit CPU haise. Got it? The following diagram shows how different units of a computer take care of all its functions. My functions in the Kamaya we have those data. Small diagrams is shown in this small diagram here. Now major functional units of computer are the input device is here, output is here, central processing unit is here, storage unit is also here. So these are the major functional units of a computer. The first one is input device. Takes the input for processing. Now this first it will take the input device will take the input for processing, then it will central processing unit controls and coordinates. Okay, it will store to the storage devices data for faster and access process, then it will again come back to performs arithmetic and logical operations here, then it will display to the output device. Output device displays output after processing. Input device when to input device and central processing the process storage the hapsali photo amu say the arithmetic and logical operations, logical operations you will see here, it will perform here, then again it will display to the output device, that is a monitor. Okay, these are the major functioning units of a computer. We give major functioning units computer the function to is minor control to. Now we have learned the different functioning units of a computer. That is, the first one is the input, the second is the storage, the third is the arithmetic and logical processing, the third one is the output, and the fourth one is the control. Now let us now learn more about the central processing unit. Now let us see what is central processing unit is in details. Now CPU is a small hardware component of a computer system fitted inside the CPU cabinet or the CPU box. Kaya desktop computer da kaya CPU box na tragana CPU cabinet ay dugi manungda. Okay, adugi manungda yauriba potubu akoina kay kweba a small hardware component of a computer system fitted inside the CPU cabinet haina khangaba natragana or the CPU box haina koina khangba CPU box to adugi manungda sigi CPU ji yaweba haibadi sigi processor ji yaweba. In large machines, CPUs require one or more printed circuit boards (PCB). CPU means central processing unit. PCB means printed circuit boards. Now you can underline this. Printed circuit boards. The full form of PCB is printed circuit board. You can underline this. PCBs are thin plates on which electronic chips and other electronic components are soldered. In personal computers and small workstations, the CPU is housed in a single postal stand-size silicon chip called microprocessor. Akoina integrated circuit IC haidna sini koi processor sina akoigi postals akoigi post akoina chithi thalo thalin tawbada post ki stand do adu mutang chawe processor jiko akoina sigi CPU box natragana akoina sigi CPU cabinet manungda yawe haiba processor si CPU si only postal size ki stand ki size do adu mutang chawi. Okay, adu akoina kari haiga khangne ba si silicon chip called microprocessor haije. This chip is also known as an integrated circuit. Modern CPUs are small and rectangular structures with multiple metallic pins on their underside. Modern CPUs sing kariba small PA amasung magi rectangular structure oi with multiple pins on their underside. They are directly inserted into the socket provided on the motherboard with the help of the pin. Now this motherboard you can see when you open the CPU box. When you CPU box haiba computer gi when desktop laiba matamda desktop ta monitor yarwani keyboard yarwani. Okay, aduga mouse yarwani aduga CPU box ama yarkane. I'll show you that CPU box. Now look here, this is the signal, this is the monitor, this is the keyboard, this is the mouse, and this is known as the CPU box. Okay, this is the CPU haise si CPU box ni si CPU di is inside the CPU box or CPU cabinet sigi manungda ni central processing unit CPU yawise. In a monitor, this is the keyboard, this is the mouse, this is mouse pad, and this is known as the CPU box. CPU box ki manungda ni CPU yawise. Okay, CPU is and inside these also motherboard is there. Motherboard haina board ama yawi. Okay, in that motherboard everything is fitted there. The RAM, okay, random access memory, the hard drive, the DVD drive, the floppy drive, everything is fitted in that motherboard itself only. Got it? Now so the socket provided on the motherboard with the help of the pins. Now Intel and AMD advanced micro devices. Now you underline this also, AMD, full form of AMD, that is advanced micro devices, are two popular CPU microprocessor manufacturing companies. Okay, if I ask a question like this, name two popular CPU processor manufacturing companies, you can say like Intel and AMD. You can answer this Intel, and one is Intel, the another one is AMD. And you underline these advanced micro devices also. I can ask a question like this, what is the full form of AMD, or give the full form of AMD. You have to answer advanced micro devices. Aina is a CPU processor manufacturing companies ani ka hayo hadi Intel and AMD or Intel and advanced micro devices. And what is the full form of AMD hangadi advanced micro devices? So you underline this Intel and AMD, and you underline this also advanced micro devices are two popular CPU processor manufacturing companies. Okay, now do you know CPUs are different types? CPUs are of different types, and each type comes with varying degrees of speed, memory, and preset instructions. The larger the CPU, the faster it can process and store execute commands. The larger the CPU is oriented, faster it can process tabak hena yang to ngami tabak hena store to ngami aduga yam thuna command execute to ngami have the result, or you can get the result very quickly. Okay, and it will be costlier also. A single core CPU is the smallest unit available. It is usually found in smaller devices that only perform a simple set of actions, such as a remote control or a toy. Remote control or a toy da when a single core CPU say fangbanga mem. Remote control remote na season number toy. Okay. Now dual core CPUs contain two command units and have enough power and memory for most personal computers. Now we are using this personal computer, that is PC, or it is almost a dual core CPU contain two command units and have enough power and memory for most personal computers. So when you use this about PC, a personal computer, this is a dual core CPU. Now the multi-core CPUs contain multiple command units. They are mainly used by large industrial electronic devices, servers, and network workstations. We have studied in the first chapter also about these mainframe computers and servers and network workstations. All these things we have done in the first chapter itself. When you first chapter loin talk about multi-cores, you can have multiple command units. Season 8, kaya season about large industrial electronic devices that when servers kumba, aduga network workstations kumba da season 8 was multi-cores na. First is the single core CPU. Second one is the dual core CPUs. Single core CPUs na when remote control gi sana port remote control gi toy car kumba adumba da phangi ba when. Then dual cores na when you season 8 personal computer to phangi. Aduga multiple core CPUs in sinakaraida season have the large industries electronic devices the servers kumba network workstations kumba da season 9. Okay, see you bokta gyan taramane na khale. Till here I hope you already understood. Now this is the practice time. Search the internet for the history of development of the CPU and draw a schematic diagram to show the functional units of a computer, or you can try this at home. Okay students, for today let's stop here. Let's wind up our class here. Okay students, stay home, stay safe, and stay healthy.